everyone ready? Okay. Good morning, everyone. It is now 10:07 a.m. Today is August 6th, 2024. We are here on the island of Tinian. This meeting is currently held at the Tinian Courthouse. And looks like we have 4 members present with us this morning. And so therefore I call this meeting to order. To introduce the members of the committee present here today, we have to my far left is the Vice Chair for Fiscal Affairs and Floor Leader, Senator Karina Magofnia. To my immediate left, Senator Carl King Neighbors. I am Donald Manglonia, Chair for Fiscal Affairs, and to my right is Senator Jude Hall-Schneider. Again, with 4 members present, we have the quorum to proceed with today's committee meeting. At this time, can I get a motion for the adoption of today's agenda? All right, motion was made and seconded. All in favor, say aye. All opposed, say nay. Motion carries. Before we proceed to public comments, I would like to introduce the staff assisting the committee. We have our Sergeant at Arms, Ben Terlahi, our IT Manager, Jonathan Diaz, our Legal Counsel, Joe Bermudez, our Fiscal Analyst, Dave Dampon, and our Senior Legislative Aide, Jolyn Doña Sagwal. We now move on to the public comment portion of the agenda. Floor is now open. There being none, we move on to the next item, which is introduction. As I've stated earlier off the record, we have 5 remaining agencies that we will be hearing from today. We have DLNR up first, followed by DCCA, Public Works, Public Safety, and then lastly, DFEMS. Up first is DLNR, and they have requested, under the budget submission, there are 5 divisions within this department. We have the agriculture. They have requested for 10 FTEs, but was allocated 9. Their major requests included funding for machinery, tools and equipment, fuel, repair and maintenance. We have DFW, Fish and Wildlife. They requested for 5 FTEs that was maintained. And their major requests included a vehicle, fuel, and repair and maintenance. The Parks and Recs, they've requested for 3 FTEs that was maintained. Their major requests included fuel, repair and maintenance, and freight and handling. Soil and water conservation, they requested for 1 FTE that was maintained. However, no funding was given. And so this will keep the account open in the event there are funding to cover this position. And lastly, we have the administration, DLNR, requesting for 19 FTEs, was only allocated 18. And their major request includes machinery, tools and equipment, a vehicle, fuel, supplies, repair and maintenance, freight and handling. We have the RDH, Mr. Borja, present with us, along with the Councilman Cabrera. And at this time, I would like to hand the floor over to the director for any remarks.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman, Chairman Manglonia, and committee members. Thank you for the opportunity to testify in regards to Tinian DLNR's fiscal year 2025 budget submission. The following are my concerns. For Agriculture Division, the position of Heavy Equipment Operator 1 must be reinstated because it was deleted in the governor's proposal. This position is critically needed due to our department providing services to 27 farmers and ranchers. For the Division of Fish and Wildlife, there is a very critical need to have one new pickup truck to conduct enforcement patrol activities to enforce local and federal laws. Right now, the Fish and Wildlife are using the admin's SUV because we do not have any vehicle at all. That is the only vehicle in all the division of DNR have. There are two positions also that was marked down as $1, but as I understand, those need to be funded also. So we're asking for that two position to be reinstated. For the Division of Parks and Recreation, one staff recently resigned. We need to fill this position due to the critical need to maintain our 23 mandated park sites. Furthermore, this division is in critical need of one new pickup truck to transport field personnel and minor maintenance equipment to conduct ground maintenance at public parks. Like I said again, there's no vehicle. We only have one vehicle for the whole division. Lastly, because the governor's fiscal 2025 budget proposal does not include any funding for operations, I seek these communities to support, at least give us operational funds for fuel and repairs and maintenance. These two are very critical needs because it is useless to have the equipment and materials, but you cannot function because there's no fuel to conduct fuel operations, to procure or replace broken parts. We managed to use, the Fish and Wildlife managed to use their revolving funds account. However, our revolving account for the heavy equipment we're still waiting for the green light to go ahead and use that. We haven't been given the green light yet. I don't know what's taking it so long. They said it's there, the money's there, but we haven't get the green light yet to start using that. So what we're doing is we're offsetting whenever there is, because we don't have fuel at all now, some of the ranchers are willing to purchase the fuel, but we offset people. So I would like to ask you guys to look into that deeply and see what you guys can do, if you guys can help us try to maintain public service to the people of Tinian. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Director. Sorry, before I begin with my line of questions, I'd like to recognize the Mayor, Mayor Aldan. Thank you for being here. Chief of Staff Paris, and to the other directors. Mr. Director, you mentioned several items that I wanted to bring up. Under Parks and Recs, the one individual that resigned, is this position funded for next fiscal year, or this was a resignation that occurred after the budget was submitted? Or before the budget was submitted?
This person resigned after the budget submission.
Okay, so the funding is still there for next fiscal year. Okay. You mentioned also that the farmers are willing to purchase a fuel. Currently, are these services free to the public?
Well, first they have to obtain the hours. They have to pay for the tractor service, which is only $12 an hour. But if you're buying fuel here in Tinian, I think it's more than $8 a gallon. So what we do is we give the individual farmer some hours, not the whole, but we give him some hours for purchasing the fuel, minus the fuel, in other words. Right?
Is there any way, or have there been discussions with the secretary to reassess the fee structure to make it somewhat equivalent to how much is spent on providing this?
A raise on the equipment. They're renting their equipment for $25 an hour. So Tinian, I don't know about Rhoda, how much they're charging, but Tinian is only $12 an hour. And to me, that's very, very, very cheap. So maybe we should try and follow Saipan so that we can, at least get some money for parts or the oil if needed. No?
So you're not aware if you personally have the authority to increase the fee, or this has to go to the secretary?
Well, I have made that discussion with the Director of Agriculture weeks ago. And I guess we either have to go to our own legislature here to try and bring the fees up a little bit.
All right, thank you. Are all or most of your equipment operable? Tractor, disking services, all of that stuff?
Our two tractors are, yes, operable, but there are times when we have to borrow some other equipment from Public Works or DPL to accomplish our mission. We help each other.
Okay.
Even from the mayor's office also.
Okay. Thank you. I see that at least for two divisions, you're requesting a significant amount for machinery, tools, and equipment. Have you reached out to OGM to see if some of these could be funded through federal grant?
No, we haven't reached out to them, but maybe we should.
Okay, so you haven't like applied for any of the TAP grant or MAP grant?
The departments don't apply directly in the inherent office of the municipality.
Is that something that can be included?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we do apply for heavy equipment under both the
DPW.
regular grants and
Oh.
also under the CIP maintenance funds.
Okay.
The problem is that the funding that's allotted to us is so limited that you're not going to be able to buy any heavy equipment in one particular fiscal year. Let's say, for example, the maintenance fund. Previously, there were about So the CIP maintenance funds, obviously, we use those for smaller equipment. So like the zero-turn mowers, even to the point of bush cutters and stuff like that, and then minor repairs on some offices. For the major side, I think it's been about an administration and a half ago that we actually had to, that we helped them. The problem is then the match. So a lot of times when you go to the OGM and you try and buy this heavy equipment, they were going to require us to match. Almost similar to the situation where, we recently went to OGM for assistance for the street naming, and they came back and asked that if you could give us 100,000 match, then we'll be able to kick the grant through. So it's not just as simple as requesting for it. So yeah, the answer to your question is we apply for MAP, TAP, EIC, and maintenance every single fiscal year, and in every grant cycle.
Yeah. The CIP, this would be like the 900,000, just about 900,000. Are you able to categorize?
So the annual CIP funds, that one we do not usually go for heavy equipment because those are allocated to the bigger issues. So for example, West San Jose is our primary issue, water, power. So the allocation for FY25 is going to West San Jose for the anticipation of the price increases from the initial estimate. So that's the entire amount, and that was about 800 some thousand.
Okay.
So then there's no funds available left to request for equipment for DPW or DLNR.
Okay.
Can we say that?
Under Fish and Wildlife, how much would you say have been collected year to date on any fees or any license fees?
To your question, Mr. Chairman, yes, the local wildlife here have been collecting permits and license, and whatever they make, there's no problem with accessing the revolving fund, and they're using it.
Okay. And
Whenever it's available, they use for their operations.
and your boat, you have a boat under that division that's operable?
Pardon?
A boat?
Or boat?
You have a boat that's operable in that division?
Oh, mhm.
No, we don't have a boat. Our boat has been down for many years. However, the aging director on Saipan, Mr. Manglonia, had given us a bigger boat, a slower boat. It's a diesel engine, and it's kind of hard to do enforcement with that because it's just as fast as the Tinian shipping company boat. So it takes hours to get even to Saipan. But the reason why we took that is so that in the event that we need to participate on a search and rescue, at least we can utilize that boat.
Okay. So, but that has been transferred over already?
We are awaiting. Yeah, well, we did all the signatures on Saipan with the directors, also with my secretary, designating that boat for Tinian, but we haven't gotten the paperwork yet.
Okay. Thank you. I open the floor to any of the members. Recognize Senator King Neighbor.
Thank you, Chair, and good morning, Director. Good morning, DP. Thank you for being here this morning. So you did mention that you had one vehicle for Fish and Wildlife, and this is a vehicle that you share among all the different departments under your.
It's not a new boat.
Oh, no, vehicle.
Oh, vehicle?
Yes, sir.
Oh, okay. We had this vehicle since 2017, and thank God that it's still running. We use it as an admin vehicle, but then when the pickup truck that was given, it was a second-hand pickup truck that was given by Saipan when Senator Borja was still around. He managed to get that pickup truck for the Fish and Wildlife on Tinian. Now that one is no longer working, so Fish and Wildlife don't have a vehicle technically.
So could you tell the committee how you divvy up the hours? I mean, there's only so many hours for enforcement. How is this vehicle utilized throughout the work week between the different subdivisions?
Okay, we only let the supervisor utilize that vehicle for the simple reason that if we keep changing hands, that vehicle will not last long. So whenever there's an operation, everybody just go in one vehicle.
And do you have any statistics or data on Fish and Wildlife enforcement? How many citations do you guys issue? What is your, how frequently do they do their inspections? Any kind of information that would assist this committee?
Officer Palacios has all that. I don't have the figure now, but I know we do he does give citations. And with this many influx of people here in Tinian, we're expecting to be more active in issuing citations because, like when you go to the beach, there's people. Used to be nothing. There's nobody, but now there's always full of people. So there'll be more probably action for them to take care of it.
And so you mentioned that in the Fish and Wildlife, you do have a revolving fund that you're able to tap into. And then you mentioned another revolving fund that you weren't able to access. I apologize. Could you let us know?
Yes, the Fish and Wildlife do have a revolving account, and they do have access. They mostly use that for fuel. The other revolving fund, that account that we have is for the equipment rentals. We do have an account, and we are still waiting for OMB to give us the green light to utilize that funding.
Do you have
I'll let him explain more.
do you have a balance? Do you know the balance of the revolving fund under that equipment account?
Okay, the compiled and verified amount from Department of Finance is 7,633. And Senator Neighbors, Finance already did their part, and I'm so grateful to them, Director Bernie Palacios and Analyst June Palacios. I just want to state that for the record. And on June 11, June Palacios emailed me with also with specific information about this revolving fund that Finance has certified, even the Secretary of Finance. And on that same day, I emailed OMB, Virginia Belgomes, on June 11, with a follow-up on June 14 and on June 25th. But up to now, there's no reply. It's very simple, Senator. I really believe it will not take 1 minute for OMB to just go into the immune system and just certify the funds, because OMB is the last hurdle that we've been facing. And I even brought this up to the chairman of the House Ways and Means, and he assured me that he will give a courtesy call. But, I'm still waiting from OMB an email, and I've been also following, even the most recent, last week, I asked my staff before she went on vacation, have you already got access to our revolving fund? To which she replied, none. So up to now, again, OMB is the only last step that they need to go in their system and just credit us that amount.
And this is for repairs? Am I mistaken? That revolving account is used for repairs or?
For the equipment rental?
Yes, renting equipment. So it's just for rentals. Okay, so in your budget submission, you guys requested a significant amount for repairs. To date, my apologies, how have you been able to do the maintenance, and do you have an estimate of what the maintenance costs you guys have incurred through this last fiscal year?
We have to scrounge for parts. Most of, if you're talking about vehicle, we look around for vehicles that are being salvaged, and we take whatever parts we can use to run at least one old junker to bring the equipment operator to the field, or when they need something to be fixed, to be used, that vehicle to be used to transport the mechanic up to the location of the tractor.
Just to double back on the vehicle situation. So you have one vehicle that is used for both Parks and Rec and Fish and Wildlife? Am I mistaken with that, or do you have a separate vehicle for that?
Well, right now, the only vehicle that the Fish and Wildlife is using is the SUV.
Okay.
Which it's the 2017 SUV, or 16, I mean. And the operators use the old junker that is.
This is for Parks and Rec?
Yeah, Park and Rec, and also for uses around the shop, or like to go and check the operator. We use that vehicle. 90% of the time it's not working. So we have to look for another vehicle similar to that so we can get the parts and get that thing working.
So being that Parks and Rec, being that you have a limited amount of transportation, how often is Fish and Wildlife able to go out and do enforcement?
As of now, because of the lack of vehicle, we only let them work daytime and only work at night when there is something that's been reported. So, and because of the limitation of the vehicle, they only have to use that one vehicle. So, yeah, only when they're called at night like that. Very limited.
So going back to the maintenance, I do know that. So you mentioned that you're salvaging parts from different like old vehicles, but do you have a rough estimate on how much your department has spent on just maintenance alone in fiscal year FY24?
Not right offhand, you know.
Even just a rough estimate. Obviously, we don't have a precise number, but under
For light vehicles or heavy equipment?
if you could break them down into both on the pickup truck that hardly ever runs, on the SUV 2016, and then also on the heavy equipment. If you can give us a rough estimate and break them down by those categories.
Okay. For the SUV, actually, if they have been provided with sufficient funding, I would say about 3,000 a month for SUV alone, because of the routine inspection. Okay, and for the tractors, that's a different whole story. We can, especially during rainy seasons, we can reach about $4,000 or $5,000, because for the ranchers alone, there's no agricultural lot, pasture lot, less than 5 hectares. It's a minimum of more than 5, or more, a minimum of 5 hectares to more than 15. So, and not only for the ranchers, but also the maintenance of the park sites. Yeah, 10 mandated sites, 13 in coordination with DPW. A total of park sites and tourist sites.
And and if I could ask, what funding sources are used for these maintenance? Where do you guys tap the money from?
The previous one we have funded from the general fund. Okay. And it would have been good if there was no problem with our revolving fund, you know, for the tractors, which we can lean on that revolving fund.
So, do you know what the longest time period that a vehicle has been down? Say heavy equipment. How long has a particular piece of equipment been down due to the lack of funding that you guys needed for your operations?
There are times, Senator, that it takes us more than a month to get that equipment running. At one time, we ordered parts and they came two times that they sent us the wrong parts, so we had to send it back. So it's time consuming. But the most thing that we need for the heavy equipment side is the tires and the tubes, and thank God that it never has a major mechanical problem yet. That those two tractors over 7 years old, and they're still working, no major problem other than the usual repairs.
So do you guys do regular maintenance on the vehicles? Like, so like for like automobiles, for example, you do an oil change every so many thousand months. Do you guys do similar scheduled maintenance for your heavy equipment, or is that not?
Yes, before they go out to the field, they always do maintenance daily. And same as the vehicle that the Fish and Wildlife is using, they do it on a daily basis. They check for oil and whatever it needs before it become a major. That's what happened to our old pickup truck. It became a major because people tried to keep using it until finally the engine just gave up. So, yeah.
Thank you. And lastly, you did mention that Fish and Wildlife uses the vehicle predominantly during the daytime, and you try to limit the off hours unless something is being brought to your attention. Could you tell us how frequent these reports are and how much it hampers Fish and Wildlife's ability to enforce?
Well, right now with the TL and the EE season, being in season, they always go like 5 o'clock in the morning down to the beach to monitor the fishermen who has license for the Palaza and who don't have. And we encourage them, first offender, we encourage them to go and get their license. So lucky that they're really cooperating, and we're doing that. So, but at night, like I said, it's very limited because of the vehicle. We don't want to, what they call that? Well, as far as police, I mean, the safety of the officers, all the equipments are there. It's just that it's hard to catch somebody if they're all riding in one vehicle, staging in one area, instead of spreading them apart, you know. So that's what makes it hard for us. The boat, now that you mentioned about that, the boat that we have is hardly being used because we don't have money for maintenance if something happened. We only use it several times to bring children, teach them how to fish, you know, like a small kids fishing derby that is sponsored by the Fish and Wildlife, but it's just out here in the front. We don't go far with that.
Do you recall when the last time you had, or your agency department had access to a proper vessel to do enforcement in the ocean? How long has your agency or department been without proper?
I would say 7 years. We never had a boat for 7 years. That's why you know, when I got that offer, we just took it because we got a Zodiac that was given to us by DPS. Oh, yeah, and we sent it for repair on Saipan. But when the new administration came, they took the funding that is appropriated for that repair. It was almost $40,000. So they stopped payment on that. So the boat is still sitting on Saipan.
So for the committee's sake and for the viewing public, what would you be doing if 7 years ago, when you did have a vessel that was operational and faster, more mobile, what would be the normal course of business given that equipment?
Okay, we would go once in a while when we do have reports of a poacher on God Island. we would go down there. There was one time when they reported a rhino beetle on Aguiguan. The Fish and Wildlife went there with some personnel from Saipan to monitor or set traps on Aguiguan. Lucky that there isn't any. It was a false report. Somebody that brought the rhino beetle from either Guam or Rhoda and reported that he caught it on God Island. That's what happened. So we all went down there.
Thank you, Director. Ayucho.
Recognize the Vice Chair.
Thank you, Chairman, and good morning to you, RD. Mr. Borja, thank you for being here to provide some clarifications to the committee. I'd like to start with agriculture. And so under repairs and maintenance, the division is requesting for 50,000. Are these repairs and maintenance to vehicles or heavy equipment, machines, or the building? What are the repairs and maintenance for?
Center, it's a combination of everything, light vehicles, tractors.
Do you have a breakdown of how you plan to spend the 50,000?
Let's say, for example, only the tractor tires alone. The front tire, which is a small size, one tire costs about $900.
Okay.
But the big tire in the rear, that's about $2,000 if I'm not mistaken.
Sure.
One tire alone. So depending also on what parts we would like to order or replace.
So I guess I'll just cut to the chase. Have you identified what the needs are for repairs and maintenance under agriculture to include the tractors and whatever other vehicles or whatever other repairs and maintenance that the division needs? You've identified what those are. You have an estimate of how much it will cost. And this is how you arrive to 50,000. Or did you just put $50,000 and think you can cover whatever comes up, right? So
Yes.
So you don't have a specific plan as to how to really spend the 50,000. You haven't truly identified what those needs are.
Madam, that's including the riding mowers that we have.
Mm-hmm.
We do not foresee which part is going to be.
Understandable.
Yeah,
Understandable.
So we, looking back at the two tractors that we have, each back tires cost, like my deputy said, more than $2,000 each.
Sure. I guess let me start with what you've already identified. What are some of the repairs and maintenance that you need that you've already identified and you have a cost associated with those needs? And then everything else is contingency, right? So, but what have you identified that you already know that has to be repaired or, and then what are the associated costs for those?
Okay, one of our tractor is being, the radiator is the problem.
Okay.
And it costs a lot for the radiator. We fixed that radiator over and over. So it's still working, but it just take a couple of maybe weeks or a month before it.
Okay,
needs to
so
be
is
taken.
the plan to repair or fix the tractor?
Yes.
Okay, and so how much would the radiator plus labor cost? Have you guys gotten an estimate of how much that will cost?
No, we haven't got the estimate, but we can provide that by calling Saipan.
Okay. I'll just try and help you understand where I'm going with this. So you're requesting for 50,000. It sounds like there's a lot to repair and maintain, and in no way I'm trying to question what your needs are. I'm trying to understand so that we can make sure that the 50,000 that you're requesting is sufficient, right? So until we identify what those needs are and we have an associated cost with it, just an estimate, we want to make sure that those are taken care of if that's what your needs are.
And gentlemen, it's not only the heavy equipment.
Okay.
In the office side, we have also the copying machines,
Okay.
scanners.
Sure.
Those are also, we're thinking of that also.
Yes.
But majority of this request will be also incurred upon the repair or parts replacement of the heavy equipment.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you for that clarification.
Okay, one thing that I forgot to mention, we need to purchase a new mower deck. Ours has been broken, many times, and we kept welding and welding and welding, so it's no
Would that
longer-
fall under machinery?
Yes,
Okay, so you're also requesting for 50,000 under machinery for agriculture. How much is, what did you call that?
the mower deck,
Oh, mower deck. How much is that?
at least 5,000
At
each,
least
and
5,000.
we
Is that
need to-
something that needs to be shipped in?
from out of state, yes.
And so is the 5,000 inclusive of shipping, like freight? Or is that strictly just the equipment itself?
I have to find out
machine.
whether freight is included on that.
Okay,
But when we purchased the tractor at the beginning, the mower deck and some other attachment that goes with the tractor was, and with the tractor, it cost less than $50,000. So I would say shipping the attachments for the tractor is about $10,000 maybe. And then you got the tractor also.
so under machinery, you're getting a tractor and a mower deck?
No, I'm just a mower deck, I'm just using.
Oh, just a
that
mower
as
deck,
yeah.
okay. And how much would you say shipping would be for that?
I would say each mower deck probably between $4,000 to $5,000.
4 or 5, okay. And how many mower decks are you planning to purchase?
Two, but if we can purchase a wing is the big one that we pull, that will kill the time that we spend on each ranchers, like the airport has. Just one sweep and you get maybe 4 blades, equivalent to 4 blades or 5 blades at one
Okay.
time.
So if you're gonna get to that cost about 10 grand plus shipping is about 45,000, correct? So that's almost 15,000 already, just under machinery.
Yeah, but if we opted to purchase the wing, it's gonna cost almost $25,000.
For the entire package?
Yes.
Or is that
the wing
25,000 on
itself.
top of the mower deck?
Yeah.
How critical is that wing? The wing?
Well, it's very critical here, especially during the rainy season. on
Okay.
Tinian. We're hardly catching up with the ranchers. So the bigger the mower deck we have, the faster we would service them.
Okay, so under machinery, those are the 2 critical things that you would like to procure if given the budget. So you have the mower deck, 2 of the mower deck, and the wing, which costs about 25,000. And is the 25,000 also including shipping, or is that additional $4,000 or $5,000?
What we usually do, Senator, is when we put out a bid, we specifically also include that, must include the shipping.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay,
So
so I
whenever
just
there's a
want to make
big-
sure that it's included in your budget request so that, there's enough for you to move forward with the procurement. I mean, it wouldn't make sense for us to allocate $50,000 if the purchase is more than that, then you kind of get stuck trying to find another source to supplement that, right? So uh, that's why I'm kind of asking a little bit more in-depth questions as to what what the spending plan is for that budget request and whether or not it's sufficient. Yeah. And then under fuel and lubricant, you are requesting for $40,000. And how many vehicles again do you have in under agriculture?
No, we don't have vehicle under agriculture. That should be being used by wildlife. But for
Okay, so on the budget submission? Okay, so that's for the tractors. Okay, okay. Moving on.
Madam?
Yes.
Sorry, and 2 riding mowers.
Okay.
And the
What would you say your average fuel expense on a monthly basis?
that's for the gasoline alone, for the riding mowers and the SUV, about 2,000.
So about 24, you're spending about 24,000 in fuel a year?
Yes.
Okay, and you are requesting 40,000?
But sometimes also using the fuel depending on the because if we run out from one division, we're also sharing from other, we're
Yes.
taking funding from the
Sure.
fuel and
I understand that, and this is why, I guess what I'm doing is I'm going per division to understand what the needs are of that particular division. I understand that, most times you guys just share, right? And that's very admirable. But for the sake of trying to make sure that you guys are properly funded to operate, and we will get to the other divisions, right? But what I'm doing is I'm going by division and just trying to understand what your needs are. So,
okay, Madam Center.
Mhm.
Okay. Let's say if it comes to the point where it's not enough. On the agriculture, once we have access to the revolving fund, that will really cushion. So that's when we give this request this estimate. We can we don't see any much problem because of
Okay.
agriculture. Like
Yeah.
I said, we're using also the revolving fund.
Yes, thank you. Yes, I understand. I'm just trying to, understand by getting clarification, and so that when when the committee comes to deliberate and consider what are the requests from each department, these budget requests are justified and deemed critical and essential to your operations. So that's why I'm asking. Okay. So next we go to Fish and Wildlife. Again, under repairs and maintenance, there's a budget request for 20,000, and same question. What is the spending plan under this expense, or the budget request for 20,000?
With the presently, we have that boat that we have, that was given to us by Saipan. That's a diesel engine boat. It's an inboard. It's a 34 footer.
Okay.
We're looking at what if that one breaks down.
Okay.
It costs a lot of money to.
So the repair under repair and maintenance for 20,000 is specific for the boat.
Well, and other equipment that is in need of repair, not
Okay.
only for
So
the
you
boat.
anticipate repairs on the boat and other equipments for FY25. Okay. And okay, how does the the boat needs to be maintained on a regular basis? I don't know, or maybe whatever equipments you have?
Yeah, we do service the boat every time before we leave. We have to send
You did,
a
yes.
person down there to make sure that
So-
it's.
So in 2022, I don't know how accurate these numbers are, but it shows that the actual for repairs and maintenance under Fish and Wildlife was only $539. In 2023, it was zero. What is your current expense in FY25 for repairs and maintenance under Fish and Wildlife?
Madam Senator, because we're not just given any, the beginning of the fiscal year also having problem with the general fund to do repairs. What I can say is when they have the money, either in general fund or in the revolving, they're mostly focusing on it because of the to do enforcement patrol. But under repairs, if given the funding, it's not only for the vehicle, but also for office equipment, which is going to have computers, air conditioning,
Okay,
printers.
so let me rephrase my question then. In FY24, has Fish and Wildlife spent any money on repairs and maintenance for any of its needs, whether it's vehicle, office equipment, stuff like that? Has that division spent any money under repairs and maintenance?
To the best of my knowledge, I believe they did,
They
but
have.
only small amount.
Small amount,
Yeah,
okay.
because that's what they have and that's what they spend.
And I'm trying to understand what's the average monthly cost, right, for you guys, so that we can take that and annualize it and make sure that there's sufficient funds in there for repairs and maintenance. I know those are very critical services that need to be had, and so I just want to make sure that the $20 is sufficient. But it would greatly help if we understand, if we know how much you've spent to date under this particular expense, so that we can kind of gauge what the ballpark figure is for the annual budget. So if you don't have the information right now, that's fine. Maybe submit it to the committee at a later time. No? Okay. Under Fish and Wildlife, we're also requesting for $50,000 for fuel. The report shows that your actual expenditure for fuel for 2023 was $2,660. Again, I don't know how accurate these numbers are, but it just, it kind of flags us when we see numbers like that for actuals, reflected in actuals, and then you're asking for $50,000. We just want to make sure that we understand what's causing the variance. It's a very material variance, from 2,000 to 50,000.
Senator, maybe I could jump in on this.
Okay.
And give you a better picture of the whole scenario. So FY24, so no department's got any operating funds.
Right.
And that was stated with the mayor's testimony, no departments had any reprogramming ability. So unless the departments have a revolving fund, then the funds that they spent for this particular, for FY24 for operations would be zero.
Right.
Unless we step in, the mayor's office.
Right.
So although, I understand what the director and the deputy director is trying to do in terms of identifying their needs, but in the municipality, at the municipality level, especially for the last 2 years, the manner in which so first things first, keep the lights on, keep the phones on, and for 4 major departments, give them fuel.
Mm-hmm.
Utilities, of course, the other issue. So any of the departments that have prepaid meters, then we have to push money that way. Okay. Anything after that is kind of like a case-by-case situation.
Okay.
So if they need to fund a repair, they absolutely do not have the ability to do that. They have no funding. They'll have to come to me. Okay, so then I have to decide, where can I find these funds? Do I pull it from DPW? So in many cases previously, we would go for DPW to assist for fuel. So it won't show up on their paperwork, but we'll pull out of the DPW revolving fund if
Okay,
possible.
now
Or
I
I'll pull out of the ARPA funds.
Okay.
Or I'll, like DPS, where you're going to talk about later today. Yesterday, they asked me for fuel. So does the numbers, the actual numbers that you see in your budget reflective of really what happens? Absolutely not. It's completely wrong in terms of the needs. Because with us, when you don't have assistance through the actual budget that's passed or funding assistance through the departments in SIPAN, then the only option that we have is to figure out at that particular point in time, which is a priority for the mayor's office to assist.
Okay.
So it's either their equipment or their gas or somebody's utility or somebody's communications. That decision falls on myself and the mayor, and it's just day by day
Okay.
to figure out how we're
Well,
going to.
I greatly appreciate that clarification because now I see the big picture, right? And so,
But there's even one more bigger picture than that. Every dollar that we spend for the FY24 that's coming from the ARPA funds is pulling from the FTEs because it's all in one pot. So as more pressure is put on us,
okay.
so at the beginning, when these guys had revolving funds, then we could tell them, go ahead and use your revolving funds. But then when you get places like motor vehicles and commerce, they use up all their revolving funds within months, then all of their operating funds expenses come back to us. And then you're going to see a big shift on the last end of the fiscal year of us spending a lot more money in terms of departmental operation expenses. And we're only talking about, for me personally, it's utilities, communications, fuel, and office rental.
Yes.
And then after that,
Yes.
you almost have to be collapsing before you can get my attention because I have to do it with 8 different departments.
Got it. Okay. And so, I guess I understand the challenges. Okay.
So like with DLNR, when they talk about cannibalizing equipment, I mean, that's not only DLNR. I mean, that's
across
pretty
the
much
board.
across
Yeah.
the board.
Okay. Thank you again for that clarification. And honestly, the budget submission needs to be improved. Obviously, you can't submit a budget request to the legislature and expect us to know what the context and narrative is behind all of this, because if we weren't here to hear your testimony and the clarifications that you provide, we would be making decisions based on the reports that are being given to us, and that would be very unfair. And this is why we make the effort to go to the different municipalities and hear the departments. I mean, I kind of feel bad now because we're not really calling every single department in to hear their true, expenses. But, I will yield to the chairman's call on which departments are to be called in for the budget hearing. So now understanding all of that, I think a lot of my questions have been answered, and it would greatly help if I know that the finance receives an expenditure report quarterly, right? It would really help if the municipalities can break down those expenses by department or even divisions, right? So that we can see the bigger picture and see what the mayor's office is really spending their money on. To see it all consolidated in one is not doing any justice to the municipality because, nobody really knows what those numbers represent. But when you start breaking it down and truly understanding how much the mayor is supporting all these different departments, to me, it makes a difference.
Sure.
Yes.
And those numbers are readily available. But just to explain the entire budget process, the budget comes out in February, and OMB asks all the departments what their needs are.
Yes.
And lately, they don't even put a budget ceiling on it either. So we tell the departments, if funding was an issue, if there was no budget ceiling, what would you need?
Yes.
And then that's what you have in front of you. By the time we get to this level, obviously, from our budget requests to the governor's submission, those are, they're cut back 50, 60%.
Yes.
And then by the time we get to the House and the Senate committees, in all honesty, we're trying to get the basics.
Right.
Fund the people, keep the lights on, keep the phones on, and provide some fuel for the essential places. So that's why that sometimes it's been so long since some of these departments had any operating funds. We're talking like 2 years So in order for them to even conceptualize, to really plan it out, knowing that there's a question whether they're even going to get fuel,
Right.
it's kind of like a priority in terms of their planning.
I understand. Are any of your, have you guys ever reached out to DLNR SIPAN to share some of your concerns or challenges or financial funding assistance perhaps?
They're asking us for help.
Oh, they're asking you.
Yes.
Okay. Okay.
So, Senator, if I could jump in on that one also. So for this fiscal year, all of our directors were instructed that in the event they didn't have any funds left over to reach out to their secretaries. So every single department in Tinian has reached out to their secretaries for assistance. Some of them have been granted minimal assistance, like you heard from Commerce yesterday,
Yes.
and some of them have been given no assistance. And some of them have been given partial assistance, and that's an issue that we've always wanted to be brought up also, which with a lot of the federal funding programs. And how does Tinian and Rhoda
Yes.
fit in with
Avail-
our
yeah.
scale, like with utilities for the aging and utilities for. So yes, they've been helping, but it's very, very minimal, and it's and there's no plan. There's no conversation as to how much can you help Tinian with the basic operating expenses, because our requests are on an as-needed basis. We don't have any utilities. Power's going to go out. We need your assistance, and
Okay.
it's really at that level.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Chief.
What I mean, Madam, when I said they're asking us part of our equipment, like the dish, because Saipan don't have it, so they're asking the Department of Agriculture and Saipan, I'm talking about, they're asking if we can provide them the dish that we have here. And I said, we need it here also. So that was the thing that that they were asking. However, I asked them to provide a vehicle for the forestry division because they never provide a vehicle for that division ever since I came on board 10 years ago. Not a vehicle. So whoever's working at the forest, we have to hitchhike with the Fish and Wildlife or the heavy equipment operator's vehicle to go and plant trees somewhere. So that was the reason why we needed that vehicle. And yes, I asked also the Lieutenant Governor for a vehicle for that specific division, the forestry division. That was 7 months ago, I believe. I asked everybody on Saipan. I asked even the Parks and Recreation for assistance on a vehicle. We haven't got any yet.
Okay. Thank you for sharing your concerns, Mr. Borja. With that, Chair, that's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you. Before I recognize Senator Jude, I recognize Senator King-Neighbor.
Thank you, Chair. And just to give the committee and the public some context on kind of what's going on. During last year's budget deliberations, when we were dialoguing regarding supplementing and absorbing the FTEs that were not funded by the general fund to be moved over to ARPA, we talked at great length of the impact it would have on our senatorial. There were so many projects that was intended for those funds, and we sacrificed all of those. I know I've spoken to Chairman Maglonia during the conference committee and explained to him how all of the zero funding on operations, on utilities, on all of these things would have a detrimental effect on our overall balance of ARPA. And we're here and we're looking at the funding that has been spent and trying to project it out, when in actuality, as was said last year in this very budget hearing, the mayor's office absorbs so much of all of the costs. And for us to sit here and try to, I respect, with all due respect, I'm not trying to shade or anything. It's this is something that Chief Perez had mentioned last year, Mayor Aldon had mentioned. This was it was going to happen. It was bound to happen, and here we are today, and going through these numbers, and I can respect the fact and understand how difficult it must be for these agencies to now say, okay, zero funding, there's no ARPA, put a number to it. When, in all honesty, you've been trying to just do whatever to stay afloat. And so I would just try to remind, or at least bring that to the attention of the committee and the viewing public, that this is something that was gonna happen. We had a cap, we knew what the money was, we made good on that transfer of FTEs over to ARPA funding, and this budget is reflected in the lack of funding of replacing and returning those FTEs, not funding any operational needs. Rentals, I mean, just the rentals alone, if these rentals for finance and all these other agencies go out the window, like they said yesterday, where are they gonna go? These contractors are gonna come up and eat all of the available places. And I don't know if any of us have an answer to that consequence. So with that, I yield.
Thank you, Senator King Neighbors. I recognize Senator Hofschneider.
Mr. Mr. Chairman and members, and also to the viewing public, both remotely and of course the folks that are in the gallery. Good morning, Director and Deputy and Chief Perez. Just staying on topic with the request, I wanted to ask again. Can you clarify one more time the access of the revolving fund, the one that has been certified that there's funds, but the lack of that one step to to access it. Just to kind of just stay on track.
Yes. In order for our revolving fund to finally be accessed by our staff, the only thing remaining is for OMB to plug in the numbers in the new system.
And this is the equipment, no? The equipment operation.
Yeah, for the revolving fund.
Okay, what about the
equipment?
So how is the Fish and Wildlife doing it when they collect?
Oh, that one we don't have any problem. Once there's always a funding available, when they make that revenue collection, they can tap into that fund.
Is that Munis also or JDE?
I'm sorry?
Is that Munis or JDE?
Munis. Because what they collected in Department of Finance.
So Fish and Wildlife is accessible, but the one that you've been requesting is still hasn't gone through to access it.
Yeah.
Okay, so and I appreciate the information, no, Deb.
Go ahead. Senator, if the committee would like, I have here with me extra copy showing all the reference for our revolving fund.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure the chairman wouldn't mind to get a copy of that for our reference. But staying on topic, also, is there any other revolving fund? What about the cattle, the registration of the cattle?
We would love also to have access to that revolving fund, but there's an issue with accessing because to the best of my recollection, when I was discussing with Director Mendiola on Finance, when they deposit that into that account, it's not to a specific for Tinian Delinar. It goes into the general fund.
So.
And I'll be making a follow-up as to what's the latest with
So it's not a revolving fund, basically. It goes to a general fund.
Yes, to the best of my recollection, when I was dealing with that issue.
Okay, because I do know that part of the statute is to go for scholarship. Is that the municipal scholarship?
Yeah, that was what I was told by my admin staff. But when I asked her what's the policy or what which local law or anything. I never yet got a reply. Because
Yeah,
I wasn't, no, I haven't come across anything saying that for scholarship. And I'm not against scholarship, but it's just that I wasn't aware of that information.
okay. Perhaps Deb, have a look at the Tinian Caravan Act or local law. So,
Yeah, because when I was looking at the Tinian Local Law 5+1, yeah, it mentioned something about slaughter permit.
Mhm.
But other than that, even in a HR regulation, I haven't come across that.
So that fee, basically, you're not utilizing it?
No.
Okay.
We would, to the best of my recollection, probably the balance should be now about 400 plus.
$400?
Yeah, because because the permit is only $2.50
Okay.
per
So
cattle head.
maybe what we can do is revisit this and see if we can, reassess the need and, make adjustments as necessary. Just going back to the equipment, the scheduling fee, like Director, you mentioned a little bit about the rate per hour. Is $15 or $12 for the equipment? How long has this been in effect? Over 10 years?
More than
More than
that.
that? Okay, so in the fee schedule under the Division of Agriculture, and I recommend that you reach out to the director, because it's actually in the code that you can make the necessary adjustments for the sake of Rhoda and Tinian fee schedules. But there's a guideline as to how to carry it out. It doesn't need another local law, or it's on subsection 2725 under Title 1, Division 2. Article 7, Division of Agriculture. No? Yeah. So if there's a consideration to change the fee, then just have a look at that and work with Director Jack Ogumoro to see how we can facilitate that. No? And again, Mr. Chairman, I forgot to mention this. So a lot of these discussions, we call these agencies for testimony, but a lot of the bottleneck really is the financing, the finance agencies, the OMB and finance. So it'll be good to have the audience, at least their representative that's taking care of the second senatorial district, whether it's DOF or OMB, so that they can cross-check some of the questions here, because we can ask them and we can focus on the questions as why do they need this and why do they need that. But the current budget year is critical to hear their challenges. And that's the reason why I keep encouraging the committee that we need to always have OMB and finance in the same meetings, because they're the ones that can actually answer a lot of these questions to be able to for the committee to deliberate further. Director, on the operational, I know that there is a directive by the previous, about 2-3 years ago, to merge customs with quarantine. But a lot of the regulations are still reflecting the LNR. But I want to ask, how are we what's the protocol right now as far as, because there is an exponential increase of port activities. It's the potential invasive species, whether it's BTS or CRB, and so what role do you guys play as far as for for the sake of brown tree snake, for example? Do you guys work together with customs?
The Fish and Wildlife is always like when they first report a sighting of the snake.
No, but like even just to go there and clear the boat. You guys don't, like,
No,
your officers
no.
don't? You're not required to do so?
They all transfer. Everything goes to finance.
No, but like with BTS?
BTS, I haven't even met who's the BTS person here. I don't know. BTS is, I guess, on their own.
So BTS is being funded by federal chief. Can you qualify? So I mean, we just
They're on the site.
we can put it in about the provision in a budget to qualify that. So,
I know the mayor would be a better person to speak on this because for the last, I don't know, 3-4 years, we've always requested to have a brown tree snake personnel on Tinian. I think recently there might be one. I'm not sure, right? One was hired? Okay, so one was recently hired. But when quarantine shifted over to finance, to join up with customs, they took on a lot of the other invasive species, like what Richard was saying yesterday. But the brown tree snake component is definitely something that we need to focus on more.
So that's still under the LNR, no? BTS?
I believe so.
Saying
Yeah.
but like I said, I should be notified as to who do we have here on Tinian and where does this person report to? Who does he report to? I have no knowledge of that.
How many times has Secretary Gisomar visited your office?
None. Never yet so far. I think he's coming over probably on the 19th. He's been here to Tinian, but we haven't met.
I suggest, Director, that you commission a letter or an email to reflect on the request that, it's important that you are in the loop because, you need to know what's happening here with the operation. I mean, I understand the hierarchy that he's the secretary, but, Tinian is a ocean away. There's separate by ocean. So if there's any response that's needed, it's you guys that are responsible, not the day after. It only takes one brown tree snake, and it only takes one larva of coconut rhino beetle. It only takes one larva of fire ants, or whatever other invasive species to get into, and then we're going to be on crisis management. So prevention is key, and this is not the first time that I say this in meetings, but we need to beef up ports activity, and we need guidance. Request the Secretary of DLNR that you need help down here with this port of entry operations, because it's troubling that I hear right now that you're not being chimed into this, whatever responsibility that the agency is tasked with. I think it's appropriate because you are the head of the department. What, Director?
Senator, currently there is one position being announced, K9 invasive hunter, and the location states on the announcement is DLNR Tinian. So, sad to say, I was surprised when this announcement came out because I believe it came from Saipan. But I don't know if he was informed of that announcement. But to me, I was surprised that I wasn't informed. I wasn't aware of this. When this came out, I was surprised because I was never given the courtesy. We're giving you a heads up that we're announcing this position. So in a way, they're now helping Tinian. And the only thing is lack of communication. But like I said, on one hand, I'm happy that they're starting to give us attention. And also, just to share on the subject of our counterpart, Saipan, just last week, I got a call from one of the Delano employees, and I would like to share with the committee and office of the mayor.
Is this
Saipan? Yeah, I got a call last week, and because I didn't want to, the mayor has a lot of on his plate, and I didn't want to bother them because we've been pushing, Director Borja and I have been pushing for the communication building, which at the amount of more than $2,000. But I'm really glad that I got a call last week that they're now entertaining our request, and I was told that once the purchase order comes out, they will email me the document. So again, I think they're now giving us the attention and giving us the assistance, whenever we ask. So I just like to share that.
Thank you, Deb. It's good to hear that those things are coming through. Sticking with the operational side, so Director, there are some announcements of the inventory of carrots in the CNMI. Did you participate in that? Did your agency participate in it to do one on Tinian?
We would like to, but like I said, vehicle is our major problem. That individual, and not only that, Senator, the problem is it's hard for Tinian to count how many cattle each rancher owns. Hardly anybody has a corral to put their cattle in there, count one by one. I got 33 heads of cattle, and I'm having a hard time counting them on a daily basis because they're all over the place. So that's the reason why it's not working good for those that has a corral, because they can count their cattle. But to send somebody out there to count in an open range, and with the owner just calling their cattle to come in there, I don't think it's accurate that you're going to count 100% of the cattle.
Have you reached out to the animal industry on Saipan for assistance with regards to the concerns that you have? I'm not sure who the director is up there. It's under Jack, right?
Jack is the director, yeah.
Have you reached out to them for guidance as far as perhaps maybe a grant to assist the ranchers or guide the ranchers with regards to the need for a trap yard? Because I know Director Gumoro is very familiar with that. So, I mean, if you haven't done, I suggest that we need to, reach out to their office, and it's good to email because there's a record that you're reaching out. And
there's a grant that comes out once in a while, and I'm sure I wasn't able to fill in for that grant. If they can take, I use that grant for some of the ranchers or all the ranchers here, but there's only limited to how many people they can entertain.
Okay.
On the invasive thing, we talk about invasive. There will be an invasive training or workshop coming up soon here on Tinian.
One who's sponsoring it?
The Saipan invasive species.
Also, they're communicating with you as regards to who's the point of contact up there?
What's your name? Natasha Tumakani.
So they are communicating then.
Just now. Yeah.
Okay. That's good, at least that they're extending it. But I want to go back by encouraging your office to, start firing away email as far as any opportunities and guidance, because this is ground zero right here, right now. And again, it only takes one larva, and then we're gonna be in a different approach again. So, Mr. Chairman, I thank you, Director, and Dip. I'll you back. Thank you.
Thank you. I think in the interest of time, if there's anything else that we need from your department, we'll reach out to you. Likewise, if there's something that you feel we've missed or you'd like to further elaborate on, please feel free to reach out to any of the members in this committee. At this time, we thank you, Director and Councilman, for your presence here today. Would you like to provide any closing statement before you leave?
I'd just like to say thank you again for hearing us, and hopefully you have some consideration in supporting the Department of Lands and Natural Resources, and of course, all the departments here.
Yeah.
Thank you again.
Thank you. Thank you, Director Barr.
Again, Mr. Chairman and members of this committee, I just want to extend my utmost gratitude for conducting this budget hearing and hearing our side. I'm aware of the really challenging of this financial situation of the government. But if worse comes to worse, I would like to respectfully ask, at least give us some funding specifically for repairs and fuel. Because, of course, even communication, but fuel and repairs are the most critical part for our daily operations, whether it be serving the farmers and ranchers or doing the local and federal wildlife laws. That's all, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Councilman. Yes, certainly. We've received a report where the members were provided a copy of some revolving accounts or past appropriations that may have balances that could be reappropriated to address some of the needs. But we are still verifying some of these balances because they do seem like there's a significant balance in there that could be used to address a lot of the operational needs. But in the meantime, we'll get further clarification on some of these amounts, and if it's not something that we can address with the budget, the Tinian delegation can consider how to further allocate some of those funds to meet the department needs. And likewise, Chief of Staff Perez, I know that there are several past appropriations that were meant to fund projects that I think may have been completed or in the process of being completed. I know for one, the Marple Heights allocation that was done in the 20th legislature, from our report, showed there's a significant balance there. So if that's an account you have access to and there are funds available, then that could be reappropriated as well. But other than that, thank you for your time today, gentlemen, and you're hereby excused from the rest of the hearing, and we'll take a 5-minute recess while we get DCCA settled. Short recess. We are back from recess, and up next we have the Department of Community and Cultural Affairs. We have a representative from DCCA present with us today. The department, under the budget submission, consists of 4 divisions. We have the HPO. They've requested for 3 FTEs, but was allocated 2. Office of Aging requested for 4 FTEs, was allocated 3. Sports and Rec, they've maintained their FTEs, and under the administration, they've requested for 12, but was only allocated 10. Their operational expenses is very minimal for HPO and aging, mainly to cover some operational supplies. Including sports and recs. Minimal amounts, 3,000 for fuel, 3,000 or 7,500 total for supplies. And then the administration, their request includes some repair and maintenance and office supplies, or the bulk of it is being expensed under. And so at this time, I would like to recognize Ms. Borja for any statements.
I apologize. Buenas and half a day to the esteemed members of the Senate Ways and Means Committee. Thank you for the opportunity to present Tinian DCCA's budget request for fiscal year 2025. My name is Lucia M. Borja. I am the administrative officer, sitting in for Resident Director Bonnie Borja. With me today is Rochelle Regis, another administrative officer who will be assisting me. Our office has meticulously assessed the financial needs of the 3 divisions under Tinian DCCA and have outlined the necessary budget requirements in our submissions packet to ensure successful execution. DCCA provides essential services, acting as a crucial safety net to support those in need and fostering a more equitable and compassionate society. Given the responsibilities, I would like to highlight our department's critical needs to this committee. First is staffing and the challenges in filling vacant FTEs. One of the FTEs that was not funded under the governor's budget proposal is the vacancy for the general maintenance under the aging division. This vacancy is under recruitment presently. I would also like to give you a timeline. The request for the announcement was received by OPM Saipan on September 7. We received the certification of eligible list and notice to proceed with the interview on June 12, 2024. So that's a total of 126 days, total duration. With regards to the historic preservation trainee vacancy, this was submitted at the same time as the general maintenance for vacancy announcement. Again, it was received by OPM on February 7, 2024. To date, a total duration of 177 days. It's still at the governor's office. I did inquire with OPM why was the general maintenance announced and not the HPO vacancy, and we were informed that never made it to their office. So I did follow up, and it's still at the governor's office. So it's been 177 days.
Sorry, before you proceed, what position is this?
Okay, for the HPO trainee, it is, I'm in the HPO office, it is for the historic preservation trainee.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so these are the 2 FTEs that are not funded under the FY 2025 budget proposal by the governor. An additional FTE that is critical is the NAP employee. Currently, she is being funded under the SIPAN NAP account. Unfortunately, this FTE is due to expire on September 30, 2024. As per the NAP administrator, they would request for an FTE, but then she would have to compete for the position. We are requesting if we can be given an administrative assistant FTE just so we can keep this person on board under sports, just so there is a continuity of the NAP services on Tinian. I'm sorry, but when it comes to NAP, I don't hold too much water on, what they say anymore, because there has never been a NAP employee, and finally when we had one, now they're saying they're letting her go on September 30. So eventually, that load again, most likely, especially with the certification, will fall on us. Currently, they are sending down 2 staff per month. I think it just started in June, that they're doing the distribution. 2 NAP staff are coming down to issue benefits on a monthly basis. But, she still is there assisting, and if anything, this person that is currently the NAP employee on Tinian is doing pretty much everything like what I was doing. And she's really an asset, and it will be really sad to lose her. So if we can be given that FTE just to keep her on board and continue the NAP services on Tinian, rather than relying on SIPAN, we don't know how long that is going to take. Another issue I would like to bring up to the committee is office space. The current HPO office has been condemned by DPW, which requires extensive renovation. This issue was raised with both the former and current HPO state coordinators. With the NAP office, NAP has been paying for nearly 2 years for an occupied office space. Just in July 31st, it was their first time to use their new office to issue the coupons. So they're only issuing it for issuance right now because a lot of the furniture and pretty much a lot of the furniture are not there. We had to get our guys and our ladies to scramble and, get them ready for distribution on NAP day, and we got the word like a day before, which is like 4:30, and then we were scrambling trying to get everything done before, ready for distribution on the next day. So, the communication with NAP is just as far as letting us know, and I know Rhoda too, because, Rhoda expresses their frustration. They tend to forget about Tinian and Rhoda. So then we get a lot of angry calls. I had to amend the public announcement that now it's going to be at their new office. As per the NAP administrator, the office lease at that building will expire on September 30. According to her, they have an ITB for next fiscal year's office space. Regarding funding for operations, without an operational fund, we cannot manage utility arrears and current charges. While some payments were made by the central government for the beginning April 2024 billing, which were very minimal, they only covered current charges. We will face challenges in paying our communication bills. And I did reach out to, I think it was last week, I submitted a reprogramming request yesterday, and I hope that will go through because, I did my analysis and there was some funding there. So I reached out to Ms. Bernie Palacios at the Accounts Payables Supervisor, Financial Director, Financial Services Director. And personally, when I approach things, I like to ask rather than assume or just assume it's a no. So I asked her if I am able in being successful in getting that reprogramming, because definitely communications will be on top as far as getting disconnected. Could I obligate like an advance, do an advance request, an advance payment, whether it's 3,000, and then that will allow them to draw down on that account for the next fiscal year? But she said, I cannot do that. Whatever payment or any purchase order is solely for the fiscal year. But I was just, if the money is obligated for FY 2024, then when FY 2025 comes in, then they possibly could draw down. I mean, that was just my take, but I got a flat out no, so I did try. With regards to communications billing, HPO did assist us for 4 months. The initial agreement was 6 months, and then I got into a heated email exchange with the administrative officer in Saipan, because she was claiming that they never agreed to the 6 months. And not only that, they didn't realize that HPO was a different office, and for them to justify using federal funds, HPO has to be separated. And, we bundled the billing for a reason, which was to cut down cost. And I just, with all the years that we have managed HPO on our own, that was the first time we reached out to their office. And then she was saying that they couldn't help us anymore. And they said, they threatened us that they were going to retract the payments, the 4 months that they made. I said, you're going to do it, then do it. Currently, with the way that HPO, with all this construction going on, and being that it is a regulatory agency, it needs to be up and running and someone to be monitoring those activities. So if they want to go that way, then go ahead. Because I am really tired of trying to reach out and get some assistance. I also reach out to NAP to cost share with the utilities and communications, because they've been utilizing our office, but they said they cannot justify that in using NAP funds. I mean, they can use us and make us issue coupons, and yet they cannot justify cost sharing and communication and utilities. So, I mean, those are just the things, the frustration that we face on a daily basis. Pretty much, if there is no operational funds other than, I don't know, I don't even want to go face Mr. Perez. With the lack of funding for fuel and other essential needs, this will significantly hinder our services delivery. And thank you for the opportunity to address the committee today, and we are ready to answer your questions.
Thank you, Ms. Borja, Ms. Regis, and thank you for looking at creative ways to see how you can support the divisions through various means. I know a lot of the programs are federally funded, and some of the disconnect we see is the support from the main office that administers these programs. For one, like with HPO, for example, and 6 million grant that, they were awarded, but from what we understand, it wasn't inclusive of the historic sites on the 2 districts. But even so, have you reached out to the current secretary in regards to getting some assistance? And I know, like with HPO, right? I don't know, maybe this was an agreement with the former director Chong, or with whoever is the director now. And if that's the case, has some of these concerns been shared?
Yes, Chairman. In fact, I did bring up the matter to him, and which was why he gave us 2,674.80 assistance with regards to communications, 1,800 for the fuel of the HPO car. They got a battery. They finally got, they gave HPO some copier paper, toilet tissue, toners, and they got the truck repaired. So, I mean, we really appreciate it, but I feel out of 6 million, I mean, they could have done more.
Thank you for that. The NAP office, is that a year-to-year contract? Because from my understanding on Rhoda, it was a 5-year contract for their office.
That's always been my understanding because, you know, I see some of these documents that whenever they announce this ITBs, it's for a 5-yearly, so I don't know why the NAP administrator is saying that it's up for
But have they had their current location for 5 years already?
2 years.
2. Okay.
And they only used it once for 1 day.
Do you know? So what you're saying is that the current employee funded under that position will be reannounced, and the current employee may or not have that position in the coming fiscal year.
Correct. And which is why we're asking for an administrative assistant so we can
continuity,
lateral transfer her so that there's continuity in NAP services on Tinian.
But if we go that route, the concern that we're going to continue to see is this position continuously being up for renewal or you know, up for whatever the situation is going right now, right? And so if they end up filling that position with somebody new come next fiscal year, that will be another problem. So there's still going to be that.
Yeah, I am not sure, Chairman, but you guys might want to ask them, NAP administrator. I mean, I don't know if it's their funding, it's their federal funding, but I hear of NAP employees being on limited term for 5 years. I mean, limited term, I think, is 1 year max, or, you know, I don't know why they're going beyond years and years and they're still on limited term and not.
Were these discussions with I don't know what the position was before Mr. Demapon came in? Or was this with Mr. Angel Demapon right now?
Oh, yeah, we just found out about Mr. Angel Demapon about a month ago.
So these discussions weren't made with Mr. Demapon?
No.
Okay. Have you been able to reach out to Mr. Demapon?
No, not yet.
Okay. Just to clarify my earlier statements, and I know I mentioned 3 divisions, but 4, but it's actually 3. The last one was a summary of the total support. As far as aging, any concerns there, aside from the FTE that you're requesting, but in regards to maybe support from the main aging office?
And Director Walter has been very supportive. I mean, we had a hiccup just on July 31st where the power was disconnected on July 31st and reconnected in the morning of August 2nd. I think it was just a delay on Treasury processing. But so far for FY 2024, he has accorded us with 17,360.55 in utilities. That'll be for the prepaid meter. And 683 for water. And these are just current charges. Whenever I get lapse funding, I try and pump that into arrears as much as possible.
Okay, but aging is in a prepaid or postpaid?
Prepaid.
Okay, so how
Prepaid
long
for
will that
water.
17 last?
The 7,000 will take them probably 4 or 5 months.
7,000.
Yes, 221 days. So they just reloaded their power for 7,000, a little over $7,000.
But prior to the disconnection, that was still being covered by the central AG?
Yes, yes. So they did 2 5,000 And then this most recent one is a little over $7,000. So their contribution for utilities is over $17,000. That's just power, and 663 for water.
Okay. And they cover fuel for food?
They've always covered fuel
Okay.
for their fleet of cars.
Okay, at this time, I recognize any member. Recognize Senator King.
Thank you, Chairman, and good morning, Ms. Bora. Good morning, Ms. Regis. You said HPO was condemned by DPW, and where are they situated now?
They are still there. I mean, I know I talked with, about a year ago with the mayor about this, and that's when we were trying to hopefully tap into ARPA accounts to get the renovation that, needs to be done, but they were all cleaned out, so that went out the window. So honestly, I don't know. Even at the main office, we just don't have the space to put them.
Okay. And then the general maintenance for aging is going to be the same. I'm guessing it's going to be the same financial impact as previous employee that you're requesting for?
We included them in our FTE, but
Okay.
they were not funded under the governor.
That's all I have, Chair. Thank you.
Thank you. Recognize Senator Ju.
Thank you, Chair. Just a follow-up, Lucy and Ms. Regis. Just staying with the question that Chairman Carl mentioned. So you're saying that it's a Macundemi building,
It's the Macandeme building.
but the challenge now is the space, no?
Yeah, space.
Okay. And there are some like artifacts there too that we need to be worried about, no?
Yes.
There's down there.
Mhm.
Okay, all right. So just staying on with regards to the NAP, how many of our community members are we servicing monthly?
Okay, we are averaging 204 households. That's just for, from February 2023 up until July 2024. So we're averaging 204. For July, so far, we had 203.
So it's constant, no? The 200 households?
Yes, pretty much.
Okay, so what's the typical timeline? This just for informational purposes, no, to allow us to understand. So what's the effort to take to issue these things? How long does it take? The whole day or?
Pretty
2
much
days?
the whole day. I mean, when we were doing it, when we do it every day, just because we wanted to make sure they, it gets to the people that are the very vulnerable members of our community. So we try and do everything in a day. If we were to hold back some, maybe 7, 6, simply because they're off island or had illness and were not able to come. But since Saipan took over, we've noticed like 20-some, 30-some that we're not able to, because we go that extra effort to call these people in, please,
Okay.
And sometimes they, especially those that are elderly, they forget that they have AR. So if you cannot come, then can you send your authorized rep to pick up?
Okay.
We try and get them out. And also the reason also why we want to do that is because we want to attend to our other duties and get the SNAP benefits out the window, to the hands of the people.
Okay, so just again for information, there's a program for, they call it EBT. Do you guys
EBT.
administer that too? Is that different from the 204 households?
Yes, that's in addition.
So you guys
to-
administer that too?
Yeah, Saipan came down, they sent down 2 of their staff and distributed. And then again, whatever was left and they were not able, then our NAP employee steps in and then we're there to assist.
Okay. Okay, so staying on NAP, you mentioned something about an office building that's being rented for how long now?
Almost 2 years, I believe it'll be 2 years in November.
And is there anybody there now?
No,
So we're renting it monthly, but there's nobody there.
nobody there.
How many times do we use it?
once, just July 31st for 1 day.
So,
Yeah.
so I want to make sure that the committee understands this. So we have an office space for NAP distribution, but nobody's there right now.
Nobody's there right now because
How come our staff there is not situated there?
they don't have the proper furniture and the Maven program that they need to, get online.
So they
IT
open a
hasn't come
space,
down.
but there's no furniture inside, nor computer?
They had 10 folding chairs, I think. We have to bring over some benches and tables, but it's pretty empty. I mean, we've brought this up to their attention.
So how many, do you know how much we're paying for this?
Just by mistake, I was sent the invoice. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe 3,000
So $3,000 a month for 1 day a month,
for 1 day use
for 2 years.
for 2 years.
Okay, thank you.
You guys might also ask, because so much staff is being utilized to shred unused coupons, printed coupons. I mean, those are dollars. When you do all this printing, I wonder how, I mean, they should pretty much be hunkering down already on how much is distributed, and if necessary, do a 10% markup, just to, but.
So I'm trying to wrap my head around this while we're still on topic. No, I'm a little bit concerned with the notification that there's an employee that is, how long has this employee been working with NEP on Tinian?
1 year now. She just turned 1 year in April.
But
so
they're already letting them know that
yes,
you're not.
since June, that her contract will be expiring in September 30. And
Okay. Okay. But we did reach out to the Centro, no? With the administrator or whoever there is the point of contact that handles your.
yes, and she said, this is the FTE she will request for FY 2025, and it's not only her, it's also some other employees that were ARPA funded, and she will have to compete for the position once it opens. I mean, there's really, there is a way to where you see sometimes employees within government departments are told you need to resign. If you're within the service, you don't need to resign and you get priority. So it's just a transfer. Because once you resign, then you have to compete just like everybody else. And I think a lot of departments don't know that once you're in the system, you have that flexibility to be moved around rather than resigning and then going through the whole process.
Okay.
Because there's no disruption in service.
Thank you, Ms. Bora, for shedding the light on some of these issues. But going back to, I'm good, trying to make the staffing. You said that there's under recruitment, under aging office?
Yes, they did, and we did the interview, and then we have written to the OPM director to consider re-announcing the position, just so we can attract more.
So there's no candidate yet?
No, we requested for a re-announcement.
Okay. So please, I mean, if there's a revised request from your office, submit to the committee, if not today or soon, or in even one of our offices, the delegation office. So you mentioned in your statement that the recruitment was submitted in September 7, 2023. That's approximately, right in the beginning of the fiscal year, no?
Yes.
And then there was a return on
July
eligibility.
12.
So what does that mean? The 126 days, June 12th. Who sent this back to say that it's clear? Is it from OPM or? Is the 6/12/2024?
This is from OPM. Okay, so it was received by Saipan OPM on September 7. It went up to OMB on September 13. So that was between OPM and OMB was 6 days. And then OMB to the governor's office was 35 days. And between the governor's office to the time that we were given the announcement, it was 49 days. So total days from, after everything, like I said, the total duration was 126 days.
So now we're turning it around and asking for
A
re-announcement.
re-announcement.
Okay. And that is just between the agency and the
Us
OPM?
and OPM, yes.
Okay. Well, thanks for making note of that. Do you know by any chance how much this is? I mean, I think I have it, but
The dollar.
That's okay. I mean, I think we
Yeah.
have it here. So thank you. So is the trainee, do you wish for the committee to consider placing it, placing a budget on it, or is this?
Like I said, it was, in our submission, it's there and it's funded under 2024, but for 2025, it has been eliminated.
So this was sent out for processing February 27th?
February 7th, same time. And it's still, to date, it is still at the governor's.
Still in motion?
Yes.
Or lack thereof, or of emotion?
No motion.
Just like that, no. Anyway, okay, thank you, Lucy, for guiding us in some of the challenges that you, and I also, I'll be remiss if I don't, extend appreciation to the extension of services, from the agencies in some form. But, it'd be good to request Centro to, maybe this committee can, when their time to come up, we need to encourage them to be more fluid, with some of the challenges here, to avoid all these, to assist the agency down here to make sure that we serve our community, especially I'm actually, focusing on the NAP because I just can't wrap my head around this. When you have the means to pay an office space, and then you're telling an employee that's already servicing that you're gonna. I have a difficulty understanding that rationale and logic.
Can I just say something? I
Please.
mean, I think NAP office thinks I'm singling them out, which I'm not. It's just that, I mean, there's a lot of ways that they could have done things a lot better. When they distribute here, they have to do it like on the last day of the month, which is the 31st, but then the coupons are not valid until the 1st of the following month. So it causes a lot of confusion with the vendors and the people. If they have their people here, then we wouldn't be doing all those and allowing that person to distribute the same day as Saipan and Rhoda. Then we wouldn't need to be give it to them and then cross your fingers that they're not going to go to the store and spend it. And it has happened. I don't know how Saipan is going to deal with that, but we heard some got through that.
Can you repeat that again?
Okay, for example, they have to come and distribute on July 31st, but then the coupons, they cannot spend the coupons until August 1st. So that causes a lot of confusion with vendors and also the
So you would think that the day that I get it, I can go and
spend it. Yeah, but not any, since. And one of the reasons I kind of, maybe, I don't know, I look at it as a blessing in disguise because when I was diagnosed with a medical condition, I did inform the NAP issuance supervisor that, because I'll be undergoing a lot of treatment, I won't be able to help as much as I did. So they will need to have people take over that responsibility for me, which is why they're sending down their staff. But the fact that they're sending them a day before the coupons are valid, that's just, I don't know. I mean, if they hire our folks here, then we'll distribute the same day as Saipan. And we've done it before, or, the lady here now is trained on how to do that.
Thank you, Ms. Boran, Ms. Regis, for sharing some of your presentation. No, and we definitely appreciate it, Mr. Chairman. I yield back. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator Jude. Recognize Vice Chair.
Thank you, Chair. Just real quick, one question. I believe I heard earlier that the HBO office was condemned by DPW?
Correct.
Okay. When did that happen?
It was,
So the HPO office, the one down at YCC, was one of our FEMA PA projects.
Okay.
And then the original worksheet was some minor repairs. However, when the engineers came in there, they said, this thing's going to fall down eventually. It's too close to the water. It was originally a pavilion that was hardened during Typhoon Keith. So it wasn't really a fully built structure, right, as an office. We just converted it to an office.
Okay.
So then what we did is, DPW had to condemn it, basically, and so we're just trying to figure out the tear down of that project, which of course takes us through the whole FEMA process again in terms of the change of that particular project worksheet. But because they don't have anywhere else to put them, and there's no quote unquote imminent danger, I would assume, then we just make do with what we can.
Okay.
But eventually that building will be torn down.
Okay. I guess I was just interested in knowing if the office was condemned, where is the current office now? Were you guys relocated?
No, they're still there, right?
Oh, you're still there,
they're still there.
despite the fact that it's been condemned and possibly unsafe. It's a huge liability. How many people in that office?
There's currently 3.
3. Does the secretary know?
It has been brought up to the state.
Was there any
HBO
plans
director,
to relocate
and
the
report
staff to a much safer place? Has there been any conversation or even just discussion on plans to relocate the staff out of that building?
We are identifying a section there at the gym, but because we will be undergoing a major renovation,
Sure.
which is why we're holding on. We don't want them
But
coming
with the
in.
assistance from the mayor of Tinian or with the department, the secretary?
Mayor, I hopefully there's something, like I said,
Okay,
I just wish HBO would reach out to us when they have funding and see what the
absolutely.
needs are.
But more so your safety, who cares about the, it's your safety. If something was to happen to you or one of your staff, that's definitely a serious concern. So thank you for sharing that, and I will follow up with the secretary. Thank you. That's all I have, Chair. I yield.
Any other members? At this time, I recognize our fiscal analyst.
Okay, thank you. I apologize for that. I just want to clarify with Ms. Borja about this administrative position that you're requesting for the NAP operation. In the event that this position is funded by, by this body, would you intend to establish a new division for DCCA and put it under NAP division or NAP activity? I just want to clarify that. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you for that question, Mr. Dimapon. No, we will put her under sports, but have her duties, remain with assisting NAP clients.
All right, thanks, Dave. At this time, there are no further questions from the members, and so we will take your requests under consideration, and this is for the general maintenance position for aging, the historic preservation trainee under HPO, and the AO position to be placed under sports and rec. And Ms. Borja, if there's anything else you'd like to share that we weren't able to discuss today, please feel free to reach out to any of the members. And at this time, I would like to recognize you for any closing remarks, if you have any.
Okay. Mr. Chairman, if I may, this is just the financial impact on those 3 FTEs that we would like to submit.
Thank you. Sorry.
On behalf of the residents of the municipality of Tinian and Aguiguan, I urge you to stand for the people of Tinian, Rhoda, and Saipan equally. Lead us with unity, love, humility, and compassion. We are fully aware of the actions of the CNMI legislators. We follow, excuse me, we follow the activities on the CNMI's legislator Facebook page and other media platforms. It is very evident that there is a great deal of tension, vindictiveness, and division among, most especially between Tinian and Saipan. Sadly, we see a lot of these coming from the top and are being tolerated. Consequently, many folks jump on this bandwagon because they think that it's okay to spread all these insulting comments about Tinian and Rhoda not contributing to the CNMI coffers, which is absolutely false, and as a result, not deserving of any funding assistance. Presently, it's very difficult to match what Saipan generates simply because they have more people and businesses than Tinian and Rhoda combined. Gof maka para upareho ininahalom sa lapi. That's a given. Please set aside party loyalty and focus on the urgent needs of the people who are suffering and in need of critical public services. I firmly believe that if the desire to serve the people is strong enough, you will endure any challenges that come your way, even if it means putting up with a little pain. Panmaasi za inconsidera todo ifinaisi ni municipalidad, parewa municipalidad Tinian dan municipalidad Luta. Hami man matototugwini, pues motsumas hami mas tumungo hafatinat sagan mami. Na para ibengansa dan sensyan minalait sa binenu. I-aksyon mizo dan desisyon mizo dumitit mimina i-konsensyan kada uno ko para continua kumonsenti estisiha na malabida. Undang kluna si Zeus Masi ni estina inekungok paugunaugan si Zeus Masi tal.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Ms. Bora and Ms. Regis, for your time today. We appreciate the creativity that you've brought forth in trying to address the needs of your agency. At this time, we will take my apologies, officer, we'll take a 30-minute recess at the request of some of the members, and we'll start off with the DPS at 1 o'clock. And so we'll recess until 1 o'clock this afternoon. Thank you.